My name is Francis Gagnon. I'm the founder of Voilà, and I'm here to tell you a story that starts very well with a client that approaches us and says, I want something that looks cool. Isn't it what we prefer? But then there's a twist. They say, we want a dashboard that looks cool of projects around the world. And some of you may guess what is the next thing that the client has said after. How about a map? Of course, who hasn't been asked for a map? If there is a geographical dimension, it's always going to have to be on a map. So the brave team that is tasked with this is Estelle, our graphic designer, Olivia, our programmer, Chloe, project manager, and myself as the information designer on the project. And this brave team, as of September 2020, when this project has started, has a portfolio of 0 interactives coded before, but when it comes to designed interactives, it's also 0. So this is where I have to thank the client, of course, and ask why did they trust us with this, but they did, and we're very grateful for it. And this is the before. This is what they came up with. This is what the data looked like when it came to us. This is a PowerPoint slide that the client has prepared with all of their portfolio information. This is a Canadian development institution. They are investing in projects around the world to promote gender equality and climate change mitigation and adaptation, for instance. So we started the way that any good designer would do, by talking, of course. So we spoke with the client, and we did what we call our orientation meeting, which is how we start every project with them. It lasts about 2 hours, and we talk about who's involved, the objectives, the audience, the dissemination, of course, the design constraints, and what kind of data we have there. And after this meeting, now that we have the data, we have a better idea of their objectives, the next step for us is the debrief and the brainstorming. So we did our brainstorming. Here you have an example of the result in Miro. So some of us have used, have been drawing like this. We have imported images from existing visualizations. We have anything that can help inspire us at this stage. This is what Olivia, programmer, had done. Now we're moving on to what Estelle had done. As you can see, it's very different from one another. And really here we're just trying to open and have more and more ideas. But there was an insight in the data that we didn't see immediately when we saw the presentation that the client had made of their data, is that it's actually all the same data, but distributed differently. So it's all projects by objective, instrument, sector, region, classification, or you can count them as projects or commitments. But of course, when you look at the original, it looks like, okay, I'm starting afresh with a new kind of data set, and what is this, and what is that? And so we wanted, at Voilà, we really like to communicate the nature of the data. Someone was saying data is not numbers, and this is one of the things that we repeat. It's not just numbers, it's a reflection of a reality, and so we're trying to communicate this and to show that we have a type of data in front of us. So this is why we settled on this alluvial graph at first. And actually, you see already the bones of it, of the final version. And I'm going to show you, what I'm going to show you now is the very first thing that we showed to the client when we came back with our concepts. And I'm going to ask you a question afterwards, is in what software or what technology do you think this was produced? This, it's just a demo, of course. And so this is like on the web page. It shows that you can click on a client and you're going to see how it's distributed across the different distributions. You can see it by the amount. So you're scaling the width of the line by the amount, or they're all equal because they're counted as projects. You can click on, for instance, agribusiness here, and you filter out everything else, so that you can see only the agribusiness portfolio. So this is a way to make a dashboard look a little less like work, a little less like drop-down menus and check marks, etc. And so the interface itself is interactive. So any guess as to how we've developed this demo, in what technology? Flash. Where Flash? Figma. No, you didn't get it. Oops, I don't want to see it again. I could make you see it again. Oh, I'm going to need 20 after all. Wouldn't say it. So lots of animations into PowerPoint. So you see Excel doing like wonderful things, but like you can persist with PowerPoint as well and convince them. I have to say some of the images though were created in Illustrator before and imported there, and so just revealed through the animations here. So there we go. We didn't play a lot with the design, actually. This is the only thing that we considered, maybe having different colors to make it more visually interesting, but it would have made everything else more difficult. Encoding with color, if we had this, because it would, some of them would have meaning and some of them wouldn't. So we let go of this. So you all want to know what was the reaction of the client. The client said exactly what they wanted to say. They also said, yes, what is it exactly? And we said, it's an alluvial graph. I said, very nice. And so what is an alluvial graph? So I would say this was the challenge that we had. This was an unusual visualization for them. It's probably not for people in this room, but for them, a lot of them had never seen an alluvial graph like this. So we had to convince them by persisting, again, by telling them that, you know, they would get used to it, but also that they actually understood it quite fast, and that it was a very powerful way of presenting their portfolio. Of course, they had concerns because some people would just like scroll on this, wouldn't be taught exactly how it works, but it turned out that even for them, if they spent 20 seconds on it, they figured it out. It was not the immediate bar chart and pie chart that they're used to see, but actually by paying attention, they would understand it. So it was not all that hard to convince them to do it. And we did not go very far from the original. This is what we presented in version 1, and this is the final one. The difference is in the objectives. As you can see, right now they're in the second to last row, and the problem is that every project is in only one sector, one investment type, but it can try to achieve several objectives. So the alluvial didn't work quite well there. We had an inelegant solution there, which was to show the potential combination of objectives and just run through them. But the client pointed that those combinations can vary. There can be new ones. There can be projects that have just one objective, for instance. So it wouldn't be very flexible. So they're actually the ones who came up with this idea of isolating them and just highlighting them when it applies. Ooh. I have to be honest with you, we didn't think of the mobile version when we developed it. It was very advanced when we said, oh my God, we're going to need a mobile version too. And, you know, it was kind of a massive visualization already. But thankfully, the solution was right there in front of us. I don't know if some of you have seen it already. We just rotated it, actually. And honestly, there was really a moment of, oh, what have we done? And then, okay, we can just rotate it. And in fact, it works quite well. And I love it on mobile as well. And it's pure luck, really. We didn't see it coming like this at all. So what's next? They have new indicators. They have more and more projects, because this is one of the weaknesses of this design, is that they wanted to show every project, but it's fine when you're a new organization. They were created 2 years earlier, so they had like 15 projects. But when you grow and you have 50 projects and 500 projects, you cannot show it on an alluvial like this with individual projects at all. So we are already in talks with them for a complete redesign, and also they have new indicators. In the meantime, we have done some quick fix with them. We have done a refresh. This is the before, and this is the after. So a few of the changes is that we have removed the name of the projects when they are not selected because they were too cramped. We have added at the top, you see click to see clients, and so more guidance onto the interactivity of it. And we had an awkward moment where one of the client staff said, I wish I could filter by region. And we said, well, if you click on the region, and she was like, oh, I had no idea I could do this. So you know, you never know exactly. So in the UI side, UX, how it's going to translate in user experience. We also faded out the objectives that don't work, and we added those pop-ups there that on hover that give you more information. And that's it. Thank you very much.